Good morning, happy Friday, and welcome to the NoFo Live Show, where I, Sunita, along with my two co-hosts, Tracy from Miss Tracy Kessler and Kelly from NoFo Endless Summer, we hop on every Friday for 30 minutes at 9 a.m. and chat about everything North Fork. And there is so much going on the North Fork right now. I mean, obviously it's a holiday weekend, so there's even more, but summer is in full swing. There is fireworks, there is music, there is everything. Beaches, the water is swimmable. I just went for a real quick walk before it got super hot. Good morning, how are you?
Good morning. I never get to be first. I'm first.
Oh, that's funny. Well, you know, Kelly has little kids too, so there's always something going on. So
I know. Well, I'm trying something new today. Tilly is entertaining herself right now. She was so happy that I was like, I don't want to pick her up and disrupt it. So fingers crossed it lasts for another 30 minutes. We'll see.
We'll see. I see Jason. I don't see Kelly yet, so I'm going to add him on. I was saying that the weather is stunning. It is definitely beach day, beach weather.
I'm so excited about beaching.
I just came back from a short walk and I am overheated. I feel like I took a shower, but I almost want to jump into the sound. It's so beautiful right now.
Well, I'm headed for a walk right after this, so I'm so excited to hear that.
Yay. Well, I think, I just be careful because it's it's going to get very hot. So, you know, if you're taking Tilly especially, just be careful.
I will.
Well, good morning, Jason. We're still waiting for our co-host Kelly, but
good morning, Jason.
Good morning, Tracy. It's nice to meet both of you. I love the conversation. We were just over in Shelter Island and checking out Shell Beach, and we did get in the water a little bit. Nice long bike ride around the whole island. It was an amazing day, but you're right, it's going to be a hot one today.
Yeah, I know.
I was recently introduced to, and they were on Instagram, the North Fork polar bears. And I see Meg on here, which is why I'm bringing that up. They swim in cold water in winter. Yeah. So if that's anybody's jam, people, look them up on Instagram. I will swim with them in August.
Yes.
That's when it's warm enough for me. But, you know, for those of you that are adventurous, check that out.
I did go swimming earlier this week on Wednesday. I went to the beach in the morning and I went swimming and it was perfect. Divine. Yeah. I go in the bay because I'm here on the bay. It was divine.
Well, the sound is good too, just only because the weather's been so brutally hot. You know, not brutally hot, but warm enough that after a walk or after you sit out for 10 minutes, you're like, okay, I'm going in. Yeah. I did spot a couple of jellyfish last week. So another thing to watch out for.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Damn nature.
I know. I have no idea what Kelly is, but before we hop right into all things tennis and pickleball, for those because I know we're going to be talking about pickleball because that's what I play and not tennis. I wanted to give a shout out to Kelly's new merch that's coming out on her website.
Oh, so cute.
And I have her little tote bag. And the reason I'm laughing is because I don't have a good pickleball bag yet. I mean, Jason knows that. I'm looking for one. But in the meantime, her bag, oh, there she is. Well, wait, her bag is doubling today as my pickleball bat. I have my pickleball gear in there and my paddle. So just so you know what a pickleball paddle looks like. Hi, oh, there she is. I guess I just waved at her. I didn't let her in. Kelly, are you there?
Whoops, there she comes. There she is.
Hi. How are you?
Hello.
You know how it is out in the country. Internet service is not good.
Yes,
that's all right. I was showing everyone your new merch and your tote bag, which I know is totally not designed for this purpose, but it's currently being used as my pickleball bag.
Oh my God. That's too funny. Thank you. Thanks for sharing it.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Anyway, Jason, let's hop right in. Tell us all about who you are and what you're doing on the North Fork.
Well, Sunita, so I don't forget, I will tell you I have plenty of pickleball bags now. So you're welcome to come on back in. That was definitely one of the things I was missing in the beginning. But so a North Fork tennis shop and pickleball, of course. Can't skip pickleball. This is something I've wanted to do for about 24 years. I lived in Baiting Hollow at 26 years old when I bought my first house and wanted to come out here on the Fork and do this, and life takes over and scared and whatnot. So here I am all these years later doing it later in life. And and loving every second of it. It's 40 years of experience in tennis, been an instructor most of my life, stringing rackets most of my life, and just love, as most people that have come in the shop, thankfully for the three of you helping get the word out, and the community has been awesome at passing the word around. Seeing that the passion that I have and the passion that the community has pairs up very nicely with people being happy to get out doing the activity they love.
Where's the shop, Jason? Tell our viewers where your shop is.
Yep. So if people go on Google right now, they're going to end up in the wrong place because my website designers have been fighting with Google to make the change of address. It is not in Mattituck. We are in Southold. We're in the Feather Hill Shopping Center, Unit 9-1. So when you come in Feather Hill, you go right under the overhang. You can't miss me. I have sandwich signs everywhere and professional signage, hopefully within the next week or two.
Awesome.
If you know, I mean, everybody knows Wednesday's Table and Latin Fusion and One for All Gifts. So it's all in that same area. It's pretty close to One for All Gifts towards the back.
I have a feeling with the 4th of July parade and the busy weekend that there'll be a lot of people that didn't know that will be parking in this parking lot finding out.
Good.
Great. Great. Now, you just recently opened, right? You're pretty new in that spot.
Yeah, so this was all a mad dash. We ended up opening on Memorial Day weekend. Everything kind of happened in a week between the change from Mattituck to Southold. It's been a very positive experience so far. The community's been amazing. The shop's been busy. You know, definitely pickleball is a big part of this community, being, you know, right down the block. But there's still probably more tennis players as much as pickleball is booming. It's just been around longer. So it's really a nice mix between the new energy and the loyal.
That's great. Do you have do you offer lessons through the shop, or are you connecting with someone who's doing lessons or clinics or anything?
I love it. You guys are asking all the right questions, so I don't have to think of it all. So yeah, so there's a couple things that a pro shop offers people that they don't get with, you know, online shopping. Lessons obviously is one of those. Getting me out on the court around the shop hours has been a big part, probably bigger than I expected it to be. There's a lot of people out here asking for access. Fortunately, there's enough public courts. Pickleball's a little bit trickier, so we haven't really figured that out yet. There are no lessons other than the community programs and whatnot within Southold. So finding courts for that is a little bit more difficult unless someone has their own court or a condo complex. But tennis, of course, is easy. There's public courts everywhere. So, you know, 8:30 in the morning and then 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night's been kind of the theme for giving tennis lessons. I have a couple that are groups, some that have been as far, you know, as much as 3 or 4. Most of them are privates. But whatever fits, you know, the customer, the client, their family, really. It comes down to sometimes the kids are close in age and it's more convenient to do 2 or 3 together, and that's not a problem. I also have clinics at the Vineyards Country Club on Tuesdays and Wednesday nights. So the Vineyards Country Club, for people that don't know, is back in Riverhead by Cherry Creek Golf Course on 9 Tyler Drive. Tuesday nights are kids. There's 3 different clinics based on age group. And on Wednesday nights, there's 2 clinics for adults. One is just to get a good sweat. It's called the cardio class. Just put on some dance music and I'll run you ragged for an hour.
That sounds fun.
It's fun. It's my favorite class. Honestly, when I go away on vacation down to the Carolinas or Florida, I seek out the cardio class because I just want someone to work me out. So
speaking of favorite classes, you posted, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. You posted about this bachelorette party that wanted a tennis class. That was so fun. I want to hear about that.
So it was very interesting for me too, Sunita. I had never done that before. My wife thought it was hilarious. They had such a good time. I really didn't know how I wanted to handle. I didn't know how beginner they were. And when they showed up, you tend to think somebody that's booking that in the middle of a day or weekend like that, they've got a little experience and passion. They were total beginners, never played back, just a one-day thing. So I gave them a 1-hour crash course. We went through 6 lessons worth of information every 5 to 10 minutes. Boom, next thing, 5 to 10 minutes. But they loved it because we kept it moving and they had a blast. I told them next time we just need to add drinking to it, and then it would be a perfect day for them.
Well, I mean, we are wine country. We are wedding country here. So I just see NoFo tennis bachelorette parties, you know, full swing every weekend.
Yeah,
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Advertising for, but I guess I have to add it.
But kudos to those girls for coming up with something creative to have fun. Like when you were talking about running ragged on the court, because we all could use some activity. I mean, I know I need the motivation. So I think it's such a great plan to have,
I
to
think
have girls get together and have fun.
if you look at what's happening with pickleball, to put that all together, I wouldn't be surprised if you start to see some of the wineries have a pickleball court.
Yeah.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Ooh, Macari. Can you hear me, Macari? Meadowlark.
I am gonna do a little plug here that Brick Cove Marina just put in a brand new pickleball court, and they're
Ooh.
also offering lessons this summer. So
Nice.
or clinics. So yeah, so you got to go check it out. I will never forget my grandmother, who was 90 years old, telling us that she was playing pickleball, and I was like, "You're playing what?" So probably 15 years ago, and at 90 years old was out there on the court playing. Now my mom plays like 5 days a week, and now Sunita's playing, so it's like all over.
Okay, hold on. I'm not playing 5 days a week. I mean, I would like, but I will say this: when I do show up at the pickleball courts, and I think it's the reason it's popular also in Southold. I think it's the phrase, if you build it, they will come. They did build 8 brand new pickleball courts. So there are a lot of courts. And there's a lot of round robin where people just drop in. And everybody's super supportive. Even if you're a total beginner, I mean, they might roll their eyes at you a little bit, but then they will start to tell you, okay, this is where you stand. This is where you throw the ball. And it's a very popular sport. But it's so funny. When I started playing, my kids said to me, pickleball, isn't that what old people play? But it's changing. But it's changing. They have it in schools now. I mean, kids play it. So, yeah, I think it's great.
You play at Tasker? Is that where you play?
Yes. Yes. And I think another thing, not to take away from tennis, because I think it's a great sport and people who love it are committed lifelong. What's nice about pickleball is there's a much shorter learning curve. So it's kind of a cross between ping pong and tennis and wiffle ball, because it's played with a wiffle ball, a lighter wiffle ball. So you kind of learn the same skills, but at a much slower pace, which is why when you're 90, you can still possibly be doing it.
Yeah, the size of the court, ball, the underhand serving, it all bodes well for somebody not getting discouraged in the very beginning. My son and I, Sunita, were playing next to you at the community program last time. And after everybody left, we were killing each other in singles, exhausted. 16 years old, he's outrunning me now. But when we were done, we kind of equated it to the old, fight you used to see. Not really a fight, but the disparity between snowboarders and skiers. Skiing takes a really long time to get good, but then you get really good. But it takes a long time. Snowboarding is hard for day 1, but by day 2 and 3, you plateau to a much higher level than a skier, much faster. So I feel like pickleball is the same thing. You get that 1 or 2 days in, and all of a sudden you kind of level jumps pretty quick, and you can get to that moderate level without being discouraged.
It's a very good analogy, Jason. Very good analogy.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about the tennis services you have, because I know a couple of girls that I play with also play tennis, and they've come in to have their rackets strung. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
So we'll start with that. Racket stringing simply is that your strings in your racket go dead. People don't realize it because probably 90% of players aren't good enough to break their strings. They don't hit with enough spin, but they make the mistake of then leaving it in there for a season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons. The strings are no different than an elastic band. They lose their elasticity. So people end up with, wrist issues, elbow issues, or just doing a lot more work than they should be because the racket's not performing the way it should be. So the general rule of thumb, if you go online, is usually the number of days per week is how many times per year you should be stringing your racket. I just tell people you should at least just do it in the beginning of your busy season. So if your busy season is summer, do it in the beginning of the summer, and you'll get the summer and the fall out of it at the very least. So that's kind of it with stringing. The other part with stringing that people don't realize, kind of putting it all in a nutshell, is there's 3 really very different kinds of strings: synthetic gut, multi-filament strings, and polyester strings. And they fit a very different type of player. And there's a lot of clubs out there that put the wrong thing in for the wrong person without asking the right questions. So, my goal is to ask people what their level's at, where their, injuries are at, what they're looking to get better or worse out of their racket, and then we can pair them up appropriately. So there really is a partnering to help them get to a place that's probably better than where they're at currently. With that, the other thing we do is demos. So anybody coming in for a pickleball racket or a tennis racket can be very overwhelmed. You walk in, it's like going into Best Buy and you're like, oh my God, what TV do I get? Right? So same thing when you come in here, you're like, hey, he's got 16 different pickleball rackets and 40 different tennis rackets. And, you know, when you go online, it's probably no different than when you come in here. You hit Google, you look at a couple of reviews and say, do you have, or I want to buy this. So we do offer demos for the people that are a little bit pickier like myself that don't want to just immediately pull a trigger and get a feel. Usually 2, 3, maybe 4 max. You get a little comparison. You go, that one clearly worked the best for me, and it makes it a lot easier.
So back up. Not really a tennis player here. When you say demos, do you mean like in the store you play with it, or you let them take it home and play a game and then they bring it back? What?
Yeah, thanks for asking me to clarify. So they actually get to take the racket. I have a process where my app on my point of sale system will just send them a text that they just have to verify a credit card just to obviously secure my property, but there's no charge on the credit card. It's a $5 charge to have the racket for a week. They can have up to 3 rackets. And for the tennis rackets, the cost of the demo goes towards the purchase of the tennis racket, typically because tennis takes a lot more rackets and a lot more time to get to the purchase than pickleball does. I'm finding with pickleball, most of us are in a mid-range, and anywhere from $100 to $130 racket is usually the best place for most of us within pickleball. Most of us don't need those $170, $150 plus rackets.
And so follow-up question though, if you demo a bunch of, is that you're then committing to purchasing one? Or can you just say like, you know what, it didn't.
You don't have to buy anything. Honestly, the $5 is really for 2 reasons, right? It's hopefully that you're somewhat serious trying to find a racket. If not, it's not a big deal. You're just renting a racket for next to nothing, right? It also provides a little bit of commitment that the rackets get returned on time. So
right.
This say, hey, you know, this is 2, 3 weeks out. I kind of got to get it back for somebody else. But yeah, no, they can rent 5, 6, 7, 8 rackets and never buy a racket.
Totally unrelated, but you just reminded me I need to return my library book.
Exactly the same.
Yes. That's his mom brain working at 3,000 miles an hour.
Like, wait a second.
I guess services, so I don't forget, I guess, is regripping. I'm noticing a lot of people bringing in their rackets to get strong, and their grips are just a disaster. So, you know, people don't realize the most important part of the racket is the grip. You know, it's you know, $5, $6, $7 if you put on an overgrip yourself. It's $15 if you put on a replacement grip, which I do for you while you wait. Unless you're doing a string job, I do it at the same time. But the only thing connecting you to your racket is your grip. So I think if, you know, as popular as pickleball is getting now, if I said to a pickleball player, your grip is too slippery, they'd go, oh, yeah, I got to get this replaced. In tennis, for some reason, over the years, people have just decided they put up with until it's disintegrating, and that's probably the number one thing they can do for themselves.
So, Jason, I have a question for you.
What's that?
What was that, Tracy?
I said you're getting a lot of hearts on that comment. A lot of people are agreeing with you on that one.
Oh, good.
So, Jason, my husband and I both played tennis growing up, and now sitting in our garage is about 8 tennis rackets that are 10, 12, 15 years old. What do we do with those? Do they get restrung? Do they get tossed? What needs to happen with those?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's tough. I mean, sometimes you get lucky if they were what I'll call players' frames. There are people that are more advanced level players that get married to a racket. So, for example, for 30 years, I played with basically the same frame. My body and my age has finally gotten me to switch, but you know, there are people like that where they don't want the new model. They still want Old Faithful, and they'll go on eBay and look for that particular racket. And you might get lucky and be able to sell something on eBay. But other than that, you're looking at, you know, giving it to friends, selling it at a garage sale for $5 or $10. I've had people ask me about consignment, and honestly, for those that have been in the shop, see I'm already out of space, even for my brand new stuff, let alone used. I am thinking about maybe at some point when I have enough footing in the area, maybe offering up a day or a weekend where we do just like a meet and greet and swap kind of thing where people bring rackets. Hey, kind of. But from a money perspective, Kelly, it's a great question. I have a ton myself, and the ones that I know are in good shape, I'll usually just take what I can get on eBay. Maybe you get $70, and you know, instead of the 5 or 10.
I'm advocating for tossing them, so let's go with that and getting new ones.
Yeah, Here, I'll give you this answer. If you remember where you bought them and what you paid for them, if they were under $100 frames, they were recreational rackets that you probably can't sell for anything. If
Jason,
they were
I won't tell you how old I am, but we're going back to like, I'm 16, 15 at this point. I don't think those are good rackets anymore. I don't think so.
Yeah.
We need a racket recycle program, you know, where maybe take it.
Yeah.
They use it. I have a thought, Kelly.
I do have an answer for that.
Go ahead.
There is a company. They didn't respond to me, and if I get this, I will post it in the shop. So I found a company. It's run by kids, and they always advertise on the major tournaments. They take donations of rackets, sneakers, I think in bags, anything they don't care if it's used. And it so happens that one of the drop-off facilities, I live in Shoreham Wading River, and one of the drop-off facilities is in Shoreham Village, because one of the girls that used to run the program, she did it for her community programs, high school diploma, right, for graduation. But she's no longer there, and I can't find who's running it now. So I'm trying to find out who will run the program, because it's kids only, but I just have to have someone that runs it so I can drop it off to.
Okay. I have a thought, because I have 3 boys that are all Eagle Scouts. Shout out to them. It's credit to them. But that sounds like a perfect Eagle Scout project for someone to take over and maybe build a drop box right in Feather Hill Plaza, maybe somewhere outside your shop where people can drop, if that works. And then it's collected and reused. So much better than going in a landfill. So
we can do that, Suniti. If you have someone that can head it up and I can be a drop-off location, I'll send you the information, because kids have to register. It has to be kids.
Okay, wait. I'm empty nesting. My kids have moved on and gone. So you will find...
You're just volunteering for this, Suniti.
No, back up. No, I just meant, I know that the Boy Scout programs do things like this. But I will commit to reaching out to the Boy Scouts here in Southold or the North Fork and see if, they want to take on something like that. I'm happy to follow up.
Great idea. Yes.
My husband just joined. He didn't get to hear about me advocating for getting rid of the rackets in our
Well, we're not getting rid of them. We're repurposing them, Kelly. We have a plan. We'll get them on board.
Also, Kelly, you could post on Southold Mothers Club. I bet some of those kids would want them.
I'm sure, yeah.
Well, first he has to be agreeing to be wanting to give it to the Mothers Club. Is where Kelly's coming from.
Yes. We just need to get them out of the garage. That's where we need to start with. Yeah.
Well, 2 things. One, I just had a conversation yesterday. Jason, I wanted to mention to you, the Pickleball Club, because I always go back to the Pickleball, is planning on doing another tournament Labor Day weekend, or I should say the weekend after Labor Day weekend. Yep. So, there's definitely something, if you would want to get involved in that and do something with them. I took a phone number yesterday. I will send that to you. So, because I know your shop opened after the original tournament that they had.
I've already committed. So you asked another question that the cat's out of the bag now. So Steve already reached out to me.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to do something as far as the prizes, first and second prizes for men and women. Yeah. So I'll be sponsoring some way.
And I know you have some great merch that's non-player. I mean, not like I have this hat that I stopped in and bought one day, but I know you have other gear, including shoes.
I'm not going to lie.
Next question.
I want to compete in that tournament too. I just started pickleball myself, but if I can find time out of the shop, I can't compete in tennis anymore, but I think I can compete in pickleball now.
I wonder if you have
a question about gear.
What's that?
What kind of cute tennis gear do you have in this shop? I'm like, don't want to hear about the rackets, don't want to hear about any of the technical stuff. I want to know about the cute outfits that are in the shop. Do we have any clothes?
I do. It is a learning lesson for me, and I have minimal space right now. I keep trying to figure out ways to fit more. I do have clothing. Right now I have a couple of cute skirts. I try to be pretty basic to satisfy the country clubs and not go crazy with print patterns yet. But there's tank tops, there's short sleeve shirts. I have some of my own logoed stuff on some quarter sleeve, like fake collar. So there's definitely a little bit of variety right now for men and women. What I'm finding already is men don't shop clothing nearly as much as women. And I think the women are wanting more traditional tennis pickleball gear. So, you know, your skirt and shirt that kind of match. Not that they're crazy patterns, but, you know, with the cute little stripes where the top and bottom matches. So you will see
the classic look, Jason. I'm liking what you're saying over here.
You'll see it over the summer as I phase, you know, some gear out and some gear in. I've already started putting in some orders with some of the more main manufacturers like Yonex, Head, and Babolat to phase out kind of what I started with versus where I'm going to go.
Well, if you need any help with picking out merchandising, I'm sure the three of us would be happy to sit with you. So, yep, yes, no, yes.
I love to run it by you. I did a little bit of that with my wife and my daughters in the beginning, but again, you know, with clothing, it was a little bit limited in the beginning. And sneakers were kind of the same, but they've grown. You can probably see way behind me on that wall. I think I have about 15, 16 different models now. But so I have obviously sneakers and clothing. And then you have bags and, you know, the pickleball bags, tennis bags, of course, too. And then all the accessories that go along, right? The overgrips and the vibration dampeners, balls of all kinds, you know, 3-packs, 6-packs, 12-packs. I even have waters and Gatorades if someone, you know, comes in on a day like this and realizes they didn't have anything in their bag before they go to the court.
That's good.
That's awesome.
Jason, you've mentioned a son and you've mentioned daughters.
Yeah.
So talk about your life on the North Fork and so you've got a whole family here.
I do. So my wife and I, we originally lived in Baden Hollow. That was 24 years ago. So I'm afraid to say how old I am because I was 26 when we bought that house. I just turned 50.
Happy birthday. I know you just recently had a birthday.
We did. And my wife as well. So that's why
happy birthday to her as well. I'm going to interrupt because tomorrow's my birthday. So woot woot to me.
So yeah, so we were gypsies for the first couple of years while the kids were not born, and then while they were little, we rode the market like everybody from 2000 through 2006. We flipped 2 homes to then build a home in Shore and Wading River, and that's where we've been since. We have a plan to get out here. We'll see if the plan holds true, but the shop is part of that plan. And then my oldest is in college. She's at Salve Regina. She's 19. We're turning 19 next month. My son is 16 going into his junior year. So he'll be away at college soon enough. And then my little one just started middle school. So we're hoping that possibly before she goes to high school, you know, getting out here and getting her in the high school out here and making a transition. But we'll see how that goes. It's always scary.
So I met your older one. Was that your older one then that was working at the counter that day?
My oldest one was here that day. Yes, she's an artist, and she's the one that loves Teresa next door in the gift shop because of the artistry that they have over in the gift shop and what she does over there. Yep.
Well, Teresa at One for All Gifts is the best neighbor you can have. That's yes.
I love her stuff. It's just, you know how it is as a parent, you know, to see your child out here and have a passion for something that's right next door to you. It doesn't matter that it's not my store, as long as she has a passion for something.
Yes.
So we're going to ask you the same 5 questions we ask everybody.
Yeah.
If you're going to take us out to lunch or dinner, where would you take us? What's your favorite spots?
Yeah, so it's funny because, you know, now, so I didn't give you how I ended up out here all the time. I've been in sales in the healthcare industry for about 25 years. So my wife and I, both in sales on really both forks for a really long time. So, you know, you just kind of always love working when you come out to either fork. You just kind of get this sense of that you're not working. Even when you are working, you just kind of get this sigh of relief, right? So we've eaten out here thousands of times between both of our jobs and making work pay for the meals, which is great because we've been able to experiment. So I think for dinner, one of the best meals I've ever had, I wish I went there more often, was the North Fork Table and Inn. Absolutely amazing. We went there when it first opened. But I do find for us the most commonplace, the consistent that we just love is Jedediah Hawkins. We go.
Oh, yay, that's by me.
We go there a lot, yeah. And then for lunch, you know, now that I'm in the complex, for me, just going over to Vicky, you know, hitting Latin Fusion, or you know, even, you know, Wednesdays, like you mentioned, they're just both so good and so convenient. I do like Eric's Table. For me, I can't run out of the store and up the block to him, but when I worked out here in sales, my lunch was always at Eric's Table.
Nice.
Again, I think we mentioned this once on the show. He doesn't get mentioned enough, and I think it's partly because he doesn't have a social media presence. But his is definitely delish, and the parking lot is always packed. So obviously, people know about it and show up there. But all
the setup too.
I mentioned 6 places. I mean, we've gone overtime.
Very thorough with your answer, Jason. We like a thorough answer. Jason, if you're going to a vineyard or a brewery, which would you go to?
Well, without giving you too much information, I have a lot of eating and drinking disorders, so I have to be very strict with my diet. So I tend to lean to where I can get wine and not beer, or something gluten-free. So usually it's the Sherwood. We like the Sherwood.
Yeah.
To be one of the more common ones for us. My wife seems to like that, with just going with friends and family. We used to do, and Martha Clara changed names now. I think it's got the abbreviation and acronym outside. They have nice outdoor activities, and then I have some friends that like the brewery stuff, so we'll do the Riverhead Brewery.
Nice.
I mean, you said you traveled a lot before to both the Forks, so you probably caught plenty of sunrises or sunsets. And I don't know if the shop schedule is now changing your current recreation time, but if you were to recommend a place to either catch a sunrise or sunset, where would it be?
Well, so I thought about this question because, you sent me the 5 things beforehand, and I have to give you one answer that's not North or South Fork first, because it made me think I don't really go out enough to appreciate a sunrise or a sunset. With that in mind, I used to be a surfer. I say used to be because I used to go a lot more. And as a surfer, you'd stay in the water later, being very early in the morning. I'll tell you what, Costa Rica, being in the water at nighttime, watching the sun go down while you're in the water, was probably the most amazing thing I could ever say about witnessing a sunset. I mean, the sun couldn't be any bigger. It's like, it's like you would see in The Lion King, on the North Fork, because you brought it up, I checked out the beach that you mentioned, that I think is down by you. Was that McKay's?
McKay, yes.
So I definitely will go there at some point. I didn't realize how nice and how close that is. And if I had a chance to be back on Shelter Island, I might have to go back to Shell Beach and see what that's like.
Yeah. Good spot.
So now, Jason, do you frequent a lot of farm stands? Do you do a lot of cooking?
Yeah, this one was tougher for me. My wife took over the cooking duties years ago. I don't know why that is. I'm sure she'll tell you she's a better cook.
I mean, obviously.
Definitely a better cook now. When we first started out, I'm going to say I was, but she well surpassed me. So she can keep the cooking duties. I have to say, for us, it didn't pop in my head right away, but Windy Acres is by far our most frequented farm stand. I know for you guys, that's kind of like the very beginning of the Fork, but it's just all the things that they've done over the years. It's gotten a little too crowded being a local, but we try to avoid the crowd, and we like Windy Acres. The food and the stuff they do in their little service area and the activities for the kids is very nice.
I've never been.
What town is that in? I've never been. I like trying out different places and different farms.
So if you cut down Edwards Avenue like you're going to the LIE, make the right-hand turn onto 25 instead of going to the LIE. So I think that used to be the Village Crossroads. I don't know what's there now, where the FedEx is.
Okay.
So you make the right-hand turn and head west, and the first farm immediately on your right-hand side, maybe a couple 100 yards, a quarter mile down on your right.
And it's called Windy Acres?
Windy Acres, yep.
Sounds like it's close to where we were the other day, Kelly, at Baiting Hollow Farm, or Vineyard, somewhere in there.
I was going to say, when you go to the foot spa, Sunita, you'll pass it.
That's another place I need to get to. I haven't been to that foot spa massage place you keep telling me about.
Yes. All right. So we've gone over here. Jason, you've been such an engaging guest. So as you're a newbie out in Southold, tell us what you're most excited about being the part of the community.
I mean, you guys are a perfect example, and this show is. It's really the community. I didn't know what to expect. There's a lot of nerves going into a new business, obviously. And I have my passion and I have my knowledge, but and I had my research, but that doesn't mean the community is going to be as engaged and as welcoming as they have been. And, you know, between, you know, Sunita and Kelly and yourself coming in early and, you know, getting me on this show and reaching out to friends and, you know, the different facets of, you know, pickleball, as Sunita said, has got a lot of pockets of people. So they'll have friends of 30 and 40 people that have, you know, a text web. And that's really helped the social media. And then when they come in, I'll tell you, I know you guys can hear it with me. I'm excited. And I usually am like this when without people's help, but everybody's coming in so excited. It's hard not to be, you know, amped up all the time because their passion and their excitement for both sports has really been, you know, making me feel good about the decision. So I love being a part of the community. I want to become a bigger part of the community. I eventually want to live specifically directly out here. And it really is the people. It's the people. And the questions I think you asked are very pertinent because that's the lifestyle that people enjoy out here. It's more rural. I've always been a more rural person. I can't stand. I hated when I had sales in Nassau and Queens. I get, you know, hives. I just like, I don't want to be here.
Hey, I live in Nassau full time.
What's that?
I said, hey, I live in Nassau full time.
Full time, yeah.
Well, we all have to do what we have to do, but there definitely is a difference in the life you get to lead simply by the physical location and definitely by the community that is around here. I totally agree with you, Jason. I think until you live on the North Fork, I think it's hard to appreciate the depth of community and the support that everybody will, you know, surround you with.
Yeah.
And I think it's perfect timing for you because there isn't need for something like this out here. There isn't another place where you can walk in and buy a racket or buy sports equipment or whatever. So, you know, sending good vibes and hope you're thriving. And we can't wait to continue to stop in and get more gear. Definitely come back when you expand into other things and classes. We could talk to you all day, I think.
Yeah.
Fun.
I think just to go with what you say, where we'll finish is this is all new. I'm new. But I'm not the only one coming out here. I think pickleball and tennis is really in its infancy, unfortunately. You know, the country clubs have been out here for a while, but I think everyone understands now that there's a lot of fuel to the fire with pickleball and the two merging together. I think you're going to see a lot of services, whether or not I can do all those services, but I think there's other people working on that as well. So I think it's all going to kind of come like the perfect storm.
Yeah. I'm here for all of it. I've got my gear. I've got my NoFo Endless Summer bag. I'm ready to Kelly, do you want to talk about your merchandise real quick? I know we have to go, but you were launching that on your website today.
All the merch is on the website, so if you want to go take a look at it, go ahead.
Well, have a great 4th of July, everyone. Enjoy the weekend. And we'll see you next Friday.
See you around town, guys.
Bye.
Bye.